Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to study about lacrimal apparatus. We shall see the components of the lacrimal apparatus and we shall discuss in detail about the lacrimal gland. So objectives will be, at the end of the lecture you should be able to describe the lacrimal apparatus and its components, the gross anatomy of each component and applied anatomy related to it. Let us define the lacrimal apparatus. Lacrimal apparatus is defined as those structures which are involved in the secretion and passage of lacrimal fluid. They form lacrimal apparatus. So those structures which are involved in the secretion and passage of lacrimal fluid, they form lacrimal apparatus. Now let us look at the components of the lacrimal apparatus. So the main component of the lacrimal apparatus is the lacrimal gland with its ducts. Next component is the conjunctival sac. Next you find the puncta with the lacrimal canaliculi. Puncta with the lacrimal canaliculi which allow the passage of fluid into the lacrimal sac, which is the next component of the lacrimal apparatus. So basically the lacrimal puncta with the canaliculi allows the passage of lacrimal fluid into the lacrimal sac. The next component is lacrimal sac, which drains the fluid into the nasolacrimal duct, which is the last component of the lacrimal apparatus. So nasolacrimal duct is the last component of the lacrimal apparatus. Let us discuss each component in detail. So the first component of the lacrimal apparatus is the lacrimal gland. So it is a soft yellowish lobulated gland. It is a serous tubulo-alveolar type of gland. It is situated in the lacrimal fossa, which is on the lateral part of the root of the orbit, and it is also situated in the upper eyelid. So situation of the lacrimal gland, that it is situated in the lacrimal fossa, which is in the lateral part of the root of the orbit and also in the upper eyelid. Next component is the conjunctival sac. Let us discuss about the palpebral part. It is 1/3 of the size of the orbital part, and it is situated in the below the tendon of levator palpebrae superioris. Okay, so above the tendon of levator palpebrae superioris we have the orbital part of the lacrimal gland, and below the tendon of levator palpebrae superioris we have the lacrimal the palpebral part. Then you also find there are some accessory lacrimal glands which are situated along the fornices. Okay, they are situated along the fornices of the conjunctiva. So these are the accessory lacrimal glands. We say they are situated along the fornices of the conjunctiva. So what is the importance of these accessory lacrimal glands? See, the removal of main gland does not result in the dryness of the eyes because of the presence of these accessory lacrimal glands. So these accessory lacrimal glands directly drain into the conjunctival sac. So this is about the various parts of the lacrimal gland, the orbital part, the palpebral part, and the accessory lacrimal glands, their significance. Let us discuss about the ducts of the lacrimal gland. The orbital part has 4 to 5 ducts, and the palpebral part has got about 8 ducts. So totally there are about 12 ducts of the lacrimal gland. So the ducts of the orbital part, they pass through the palpebral part, and all the ducts end in the superior conjunctival fornix. So you find orbital part, it is drained by the ducts which are passing through the palpebral part. So the orbital part, it is drained by the ducts which are passing through the palpebral part. So what happens when the palpebral part is removed? If you remove the palpebral part, it is equivalent to the removal of whole gland, because the ducts of the orbital part have also been removed. So you find the secretions of the orbital part cannot reach the conjunctival sac. But this does not result in dryness of the eye because of the presence of accessory lacrimal glands. So that is about the lacrimal gland and its ducts. Let us discuss about the functions of lacrimal gland. So the main function of the lacrimal gland is to secrete a fluid which is known as lacrimal fluid. The functions of lacrimal fluid is to keep the cornea moist and transparent. It provides nutrition to the cornea, and it is bactericidal in function because of the presence of an enzyme, lysozyme. When this lacrimal fluid is secreted in excess, it overflows as tears. Okay, so that is the function of lacrimal gland. So let us discuss about the arterial supply of the lacrimal gland. Blood reaches the lacrimal gland via the lacrimal branch of ophthalmic artery. Let us look at the nerve supply of the lacrimal gland. It receives both the sensory and secretomotor nerve supply. The sensory is by the lacrimal nerve, which is a branch of ophthalmic nerve. Secretomotor nerve supply is important for the production of lacrimal fluid. So this is all the secretomotor pathway. The secretomotor pathway begins in the lacrimatory nucleus, that is in the brainstem. Okay, the superior salivatory nucleus or the lacrimatory nucleus. Then the fibers, they pass through nervous intermediates. Then through the trunk of the facial nerve, they reach the genu of the facial nerve. Genu means bend. The fibers, they reach the genu and the geniculate ganglion. Okay. Then from the geniculate ganglion, the fibers, they pass through the greater petrosal nerve. Right, greater petrosal nerve, and greater petrosal nerve eventually joins with the deep petrosal nerve, and they form the so-called nerve of pterygoid canal. The nerve of pterygoid canal. So this nerve of pterygoid canal, from here the fibers, they relay in the sphenopalatine ganglion. Sphenopalatine ganglion or the pterygopalatine ganglion. So these are preganglionic parasympathetic fibers. So basically the fibers, they begin in the superior salivary nucleus or the lacrimative nucleus, then they pass through nervous intermediates, which is a part of the facial nerve, then the genu, the geniculate ganglion, then the greater petrosal nerve joins with the deep petrosal nerve to form nerve of pterygoid canal, and eventually the fibers, they relay in the pterygopalatine ganglion, which is a parasympathetic ganglion. So these are preganglionic parasympathetic fibers. So from the ganglion we have postganglionic parasympathetic fibers. They join a communicating branch of the maxillary nerve, and then they join the zygomatic nerve and the lacrimal nerve, and eventually they reach the lacrimal gland and responsible for the production of lacrimal fluid. So this is our the parasympathetic or secretomotor nerve supply to the lacrimal gland for the production of lacrimal fluid. So from here to here up to the ganglion, these are the preganglionic parasympathetic fibers. From the ganglion up to the lacrimal gland are the postganglionic parasympathetic fibers. Now let us discuss the next component of the lacrimal apparatus, that is conjunctival sac. So conjunctival sac, it is defined as a potential space between the bulbar and the palpebral part of the conjunctiva. Okay, so I repeat again, the conjunctival sac, it is defined as a potential space between bulbar and palpebral conjunctiva. So bulbar conjunctiva is that conjunctiva which covers the sclera of the eyeball. Bulbar conjunctiva is that conjunctiva which covers the sclera of the eyeball. Sclera is white of the eye. Whereas the palpebral conjunctiva is the conjunctiva which covers the inner surface of the eyelids and the palpebrae. So that is the conjunctival sac. Okay. So it is defined as a potential space between bulbar and palpebral conjunctiva. The bulbar conjunctiva is that conjunctiva which covers the sclera of the eye, whereas the palpebral conjunctiva which covers the inner surface of the eyelids and the palpebrae. So what are the what it contains, the conjunctival sac? There are three films of fluid from within outwards you find within the conjunctival sac. Number one, you have watery rich fluid derived from the lacrimal gland. Then you have a mucus rich fluid which is secreted by the conjunctiva. Then you have oily rich fluid which is secreted by the tarsal glands. So this is about the conjunctival sac. Next component of the lacrimal apparatus is the lacrimal puncta. Lacrimal puncta is a small opening. It is a small opening which is situated on the summit of the lacrimal papilla. That is an elevation. Papilla is an elevation at the junction of medial 1/5 and lateral 5/6 of the lid margin. So papilla is an elevation at the junction of medial 1/5 and lateral 5/6 of the lid margin. You find this puncta leads into canaliculus. Puncta, lacrimal puncta leads into a canaliculus. So we shall discuss what are the canaliculi. So puncta leads into canaliculus. So you find there are two canaliculi in each eyelid. So you find a single canaliculus. So in each eyelid. So you find a single canaliculus in each eyelid. So they are called the superior canaliculus in the upper eyelid, superior lacrimal canaliculus in the upper eyelid, and inferior lacrimal canaliculus in the lower eyelid. So the length of this canaliculus is about 10 mm. It begins at the lacrimal puncta and each canaliculus has a different course. The superior canaliculus, it runs upwards, then bends, then runs downwards and medially, whereas the inferior canaliculus, it runs downwards and then bends, then runs medially. So both the canaliculi end in the lacrimal sac. So both the canaliculi bend at the certain point, and at this point you find the canaliculi dilated to form the ampulla, that is ampulla of the canaliculi. So this is the ampulla of the canaliculi, and these canaliculi terminate in the lacrimal sac separately, or they form a common stem known as the sinus of Meyer. The common stem is known as the sinus of Meyer, and this common stem opens into the lacrimal sac. Thus the fluid is carried into the lacrimal sac. The next component of the lacrimal apparatus is the lacrimal sac. The lacrimal sac is a membranous sac. The lacrimal sac is a membranous sac which is situated in the lacrimal groove. This is along the medial wall of the orbit. So it measures about 12 centimeters in length and 12 millimeters in length and 5 millimeters in width. 12 millimeters in length and 5 millimeters in width. It has following parts. So the upper end of the sac is almost blind end and it is called fundus. This part is known as the fundus, whereas the lower end continues with the nasolacrimal duct. So fascia covering the lacrimal sac is attached to the anterior and posterior ends of the lacrimal groove. Let us discuss the relations of the lacrimal sac. Anteriorly, medial palpebral ligament. Posteriorly, lacrimal part of the orbicularis, oculi. Medially, the medial arterial plexus, the plexus from the facial artery, and laterally, lateral venous plexus. So these are the relations of lacrimal sac. Now we will be going to the nasolacrimal duct. It is a membranous duct which is about 18 millimeters length. It is expanded at two ends and it is narrow in the middle. In the middle it is narrow, expanded at lower end and upper end. The upper end will continue with the lower end of the lacrimal sac. That is the beginning of the nasolacrimal duct. Then it narrow and below it expands again. The lower end ends in the inferior meatus of the nose. So the lower end of the nasolacrimal duct opens into the inferior meatus of the nose. So it lies in the bony canal in the lateral wall of nose, which formed by the frontal process of the maxilla. At the lower end, the nasolacrimal duct, you find an ill-defined mucosal fold. An ill-defined mucosal fold. This mucosal fold is known as valve of Hasner or plica lacrimalis. Valve of Hasner or plica lacrimalis. It acts as a guarding valve to prevent the entry of air back into the lacrimal duct, thereby into the conjunctival sac when the nose is blown with force. That is the function of lacrimal fold. Next component is the conjunctival sac. Then we have the other condition, the acryocystitis. It is nothing but the inflammation of the lacrimal sac. So there is epiphora happening in case of acryocystitis. Okay. So with this we have finished in detail about the components of the lacrimal apparatus. Thank you very much.